I moved my entire photo library off the cloud onto this. And within 24 hours it felt faster, cheaper and completely under my control. No subscriptions, no limits. But also now it's on me to manage it. If something breaks, I'm the one fixing it. So the question is replacing the cloud actually worth it? Or is it just a headache waiting to happen? This is the TERRAMASTER F4-425 Pro. Officially it's a NAS, but realistically this is a private cloud for your home. Photos, backups, media, everything, one place in your house. Inside the box, power brick, cables, drive screw, the usual stuff, and then the NAS itself. First impression is good. It's heavy, solid, mostly aluminium, no creaks, no cheap plastic feeling. It feels less like a gadget and more like a small appliance. I like it. Before any of the software stuff, we need storage. So off comes the cover, a few screws later and we're inside. This is where the NVMe goes. Tiny drive, ridiculous amount of performance, slot in, push down. If you got 3 of them, you could install 3. 1 screw, done. Honestly, the hardest part is not dropping the screw somewhere inside the case and spending the next 10 minutes shaking that NAS like a maracas. With that installed, time for the main storage. Drives, trays out, drives in, screws through the sides, back into the base. Click, click, click and click, and that's basically it. No special tools, no engineering degree, no ritual sacrifice to the technology gods. Just a few minutes of assembly and the hardware side is finished. This is actually where the story starts. Setup, start, simple. Open the browser and in about 20 minutes you've built your own cloud. Backups running, files syncing, and you're thinking this is actually easy, and for the moment it is. But that's exactly where it caught me out. Quick tip, pay attention to where TOS actually gets installed, because I didn't. During the initial setup I accidentally created storage pool 1 using a fast SSD and the old hard drive. TOS happily installed itself there, and at first everything seems fine until I copied across a few thousand photos. That's when the NAS started indexing them, recognizing people, places, scenes, etc. Basically building its photo database. And it just kept going and going. I left it running overnight, came back the next morning, still indexing, and that's when it clicked. I hadn't bought a slow NAS, I'd built a fast NAS around a slow system drive. So I wiped everything, pulled out all the drives, left only the NVMe installed and started again. This time TOS had no choice but to install itself onto the 7000 megabytes per second NVMe drive, and I copied the same photo library across, and the result, less than 10 minutes. Not overnight, less than 10 minutes. Then I added the other drives back in afterwards. Fast SSD storage for active files and the old hard drives for archive storage. And suddenly everything fell the way I expected it to. Fast, quiet, responsive, same hardware, just configured properly. And that's where things got interesting, because after moving the system onto the NVMe, I expected the file transfers to become dramatically faster as well. So I started testing. First with the hard drives installed, then with the SSD storage, then with only the NVMe, and despite changing the storage, the transfer speeds barely moved. And that's the moment it clicks. This isn't a storage issue, it's the network. Because this NAS has a dual 5 gigabit network, and it's seriously fast. TerraMaster claims it can move huge files in under a minute, and the hardware is absolutely capable of that. But there's a catch. Your home network decides whether you ever see those numbers, and this is where a lot of people get caught out. We spent money upgrading storage, faster SSDs, faster CPUs, faster networking, etc, then connect everything to the little router our ISP provided years ago. In my case, I'm using a typical Sky UK full fiber setup, around 150 meg download and roughly 27 meg upload. For normal daily use, it's perfectly fine, streaming, browsing, video calls, etc, no problem. But for a high performance NAS, this is where the limitation appears. The Sky router only has a standard 1 gigabit Ethernet port. So even though the F4-425 Pro is capable of much more, the network becomes the bottleneck. During testing, transfer constantly leveled out at around 70 to 80 megabytes per second, which is exactly what you would expect from a fully saturated 1 gigabit connection. And plugging in a second Ethernet cable doesn't magically double the speed. Without proper multi-gig networking and link aggregation support, you're not creating one faster connection. You're just creating two separate ones. To really see what this NAS can do, you need the rest of the network to match it. A multi-gig switch, compatible network adapters, the right cabling, because the NAS wasn't the limitation. My home network was, and I suspect a lot of people here are in exactly the same situation, and it gets even more real when you're using Wi-Fi, because wireless speeds drop depending on distance, walls and interference. So even if your NAS is fast, your phone, laptop, TV, etc, they are all sharing that wireless bandwidth. Now technically I could fix all of that, buy a multi-gig switch, upgrade the network, add more cables, another power brick, another box sitting under the desk, but honestly that misses the point. I bought a NAS to simplify things, not to build a mini server rack in the living room, and for family photos, backups, video projects and daily file storage, Gigabit is already more than enough, especially when most devices are connecting over Wi-Fi anyway. So instead of chasing bigger benchmark numbers, I started looking at something more important. What is this thing actually like to live with? Power consumption was actually one of the things I was most curious about, because this thing runs 24 hours a day, so I plugged it into a power meter. During heavy tasks like file transfers, indexing and setup, I measured around 35 watts. At idle, it dropped to roughly 13 watts, which is very efficient for a device containing an NVMe drive, an SSD and a mechanical hard drive. When I worked out yearly running costs, the numbers were actually pretty reasonable. Around £39 per year in the UK, around 26 bucks in the United States and around 57 euros in Germany for something that's available 24/7, stores all your files, backups and photos. That's less than I expected. Thermals were equally impressive. The internal sensors stayed under control, and even on the thermal camera, external temperatures remained very low. Heat was never a concern. Noise, however, that's the one thing I noticed. Most of the time it's very quiet, but every now and then the fan ramps up and reminds you it's there. Not a deal breaker, just something worth knowing if it's going to live in a quiet office or living room. The hardware impressed me almost immediately. The software took a little longer. Now, to be fair, TOS 7 is still in beta, and during testing it definitely felt like a beta software. For normal NAS duties, honestly excellent. File storage, backups, media, photos, etc, no real complaints. In fact, I really like the new interface. It's clean and modern and very easy to navigate. Where things got more complicated was when I started experimenting with local AI. Specifically OpenClaw. My plan was simple: run AI locally and use it to help organize and catalog my photo library. Unfortunately, I never managed to get it working. I spent far longer troubleshooting than I expected, and when things broke, the system wasn't always great at telling me why. Eventually, I accepted defeat. Not because the hardware couldn't do it, because the software ecosystem still feels like it's finding its feet. So if you're buying this as a NAS, media server or photo hub, I think you'll have a great experience. If you're buying it specifically for advanced AI workflows and self-hosting experiments, expect some tinkering. And despite all of that, this is where the NAS finally made sense to me. Not because of AI, not because of benchmark numbers, because of convenience. Every family photo now lives in one place. The built-in photo tools automatically group people, places and scenes. I can browse everything from my phone, laptop or desktop, at home or away from home. And if family members want access, I just send them a link. No cloud subscriptions, no storage warnings, no wondering which device has the latest copy. Just one library, exactly where I expect it to be. Then there was Plex. One click, added a film. Pressed play, done. No USB sticks, no copying files around, it just works. And that's really the story of the F4-425 Pro. It's not the fastest thing I've tested, it's not perfect, and most people probably won't use everything it's capable of. But that's almost the point. The hardware feels like it's grow with you. The networking is ready for future upgrades. The software is improving, and once it's configured properly, it quietly becomes part of your daily life. For me, it ended up being a family photo archive, a creator toolbox and a media library, and a place to keep everything important. Which means the real question isn't, do I need the NAS? It's, how long can I keep pretending I don't? Hit me in the comments.
Family Pop TV.